ഹലോ അസ്സാം വലൈക്കും. എൻ്റെ പേര് വസീം. ഞാൻ വന്നിട്ടുള്ളത് നേരത്തെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു പോയ കണ്ടിന്യൂ സഹീഫ ഹമ ഇബിൻ മുനീബ എന്ന പുസ്തകത്തിൻ്റെ സെക്കൻഡ് പാർട്ടായിട്ടാണ്. ചില ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ഏർലിയർ ഹദീസ് കളക്ഷൻസും ഖുറാൻ്റെ ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷനും നമ്മൾ കാണാൻ പോകുന്നത്. നമുക്കതിലോട്ടും കിടക്കാം. നമ്മളിതിൽ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് ഏർലി ഡോക്യുമെൻറ്റേഷൻസിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ടാണ്. ഞങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നത് നബിയുടെ കാലത്തിന് ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻ ഓഫ് ദ ഖുറാൻ സംഭവിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. നമുക്കത് വായിക്കാം. Translation of the Quran. In this connection, the translation of the Quran made by Salman al-Farisi also deserves to be mentioned. Some Iranians, one is not certain whether they were of Yemen or Bahrain or Oman or elsewhere, were converted to Islam and applied for permission to say their prayers temporarily in their mother tongue. The Persian Salman Farisi translated the first chapter and sent it to them. The well-known Hanafite jurist Shamsul Ulama al-Sarashi states, "It has been reported that the Persians wrote a letter to Salman al-Farisi requesting him to send them a Persian translation of the Surah al-Fatiha. Thus, these persons used to recite the translation until the time their tongues got familiarized with Arabic text." The Egyptian scholar Farid Wajidi, on the basis of another reference, precisely that Salman Farisi had made this translation and sent it on with the permission of the Prophet. The purpose of this illustration is to collect such traditions or written documents as are contrary to the time of Holy Prophet, as we shall have the occasion to mention later. In connection with Amr ibn Hazm, not only the sayings, but even the writings of the Prophet began to be collected by the companions. Some incidental occasion of writing. Al-Bukhari and several other sources have recorded that in the year 8 Hijrah, on the occasion of the peaceful conquest of Makkah, the Holy Prophet delivered a sermon on the rights and duties of humanity and other important problems. A man of Yemen, Abu Shah, who was present at the time, said, "O Messenger of God, please have this written for me." The Prophet accordingly caused the sermon to be transcribed for him. The exact text of his order was written down for Abu Shah. There must have been cases when a companion of the Prophet, not residing in Medina, should have come to Metropolis for a short sojourn, and when returning should have taken back with him some written notes of what he had heard from the Holy Prophet, or even his instructions exclusively meant for him or his clan. Among the inhabitants of Medina, the common people such as cultivators, laborers, craftsmen who had no special attitude or taste for letters and intellectual vocations, should on some occasion or others had been deeply impressed by some particular oration or phrase, that they must have made a written note for the future reference. Such a case may be said to have been incidental occasions of the writing down the hadith in lifetime of the Holy Prophet. ഇത് പ്രത്യേക സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ ചില ഹദീസുകൾ എഴുതിയെടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ നബിയുടെ വിവിധ ഭാഗങ്ങൾ പ്രസംഗം എഴുതിയെടുത്തത് പോലെ എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത്. Deliberate arrangements in Holy Prophet's time for compilation of hadith. ഇവിടെ അവർ അറിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നബിയുടെ ചില വാക്കുകളെല്ലാം ഹദീസായി ബുക്കിൽ കീപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത്. അതൊന്ന് വായിക്കാം. There are not lacking traditions to the effect that Holy Prophet prohibited his companions from putting down in writing anything and everything was heard from his lips except that which was the Quran. There are also sayings through which he has not only permitted but even ordered his companions to write down his sayings. So seemingly contradictory orders did not create any perplexity in the minds of his companions, because they were fully aware of this context of every pronouncement. They did, however, cause little confusion to some later traditionists, and each one compiled with the text of the saying, which had come to his knowledge later when all the relevant data for and against were collected. Intelligent and discerning minds found no difficulty in gathering the real desire of the Holy Prophet. For instance, it is worth bringing into relief that in his Sahih that the great specialist Al-Bukhari includes a special chapter on the writing down of the signs of the Prophet. This deals with the sanction according to the writing of the hadith. There is no chapter, not even a single hadith, issuing injunctions against or expressing disapprobation of writing down the hadith. Before citing and scrutinizing the reports that the Prophet had led interdiction against the writing of the hadith, it seems meter to continue the present discussion and cite reports on permissibility of recording hadith. In writing and of actual cases which prophets were reviewed by taking advantage of this permission. Such reports are as numerous as they are impressive. ചില ആൾക്കാർ നബി അനുവദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് എഴുതിയെടുക്കാൻ. ഈ പ്രോഹിബിഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പ്രത്യേക സാഹചര്യത്തിലാണ് അത് പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത്. ഈ നബിയുടെ കാലത്ത് തന്നെ ഹദീസുകൾ എഴുതി വെച്ചിരുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഞങ്ങളെ പറ്റിയുള്ള സംസാരം. An Ansarite. Al-Tirmidhi relates that one day an Ansarite companion came into the presence of Holy Prophet and complained of the weakness of his memory. He added that he felt enlightened and elevated on hearing what Holy Prophet spoke every day by the way of exhortation or admonishment. But on account of his weak memory, he failed to retain it all in his mind. The Holy Prophet replied, "Be helped by the right hand, that is, to take it down in writing." The source does not exactly mention who this Ansarite was. One may naturally suppose that he must have profited by the permission. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, a similar instance is recorded of the Meccan Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. He was with the knowledge and permission of the Holy Prophet used to note down his sayings so that he might not forget them. People asked not him to do so. They say the Prophet was after all a human being, subject to moods of pleasure and anger, and so such it would not be fitting to record indiscriminately anything and everything that was spoken by him. It was a sensible suggestion, but being an intelligent youth, Abdullah went to the Holy Prophet and asked, "May I write down whatever I hear from thee?" He replied, "Yes." As an additional precaution, he asked, on occasions both of pleasure and anger, the Holy Prophet pointed to his mouth and said, "By God, whatever issues from this is verily right and truth." Also, Sahih Bukhari cites Wahab ibn Munabi had related on the authority of his brother Hama bin Munabi, the compiler of the text. I heard Abu Huraira saying, "Among the companions of the Holy Prophet, there is none who recounts a greater number of hadiths than myself, except Abdullah ibn Amr, who used to write them out of the spot, but not so I." അതായത് ഈ അബൂ ഹുറൈറ പറയാണ്, അബ്ദുള്ള ബിൻ അമർ എന്നെക്കാളും കൂടുതൽ ഹദീസുകൾ എഴുതിയെടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹം പ്രവാചകന് ഒപ്പം നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് എഴുതിയെടുത്തതാണ് എന്നുള്ളത്. Abdullah gave the name of Sahifa Sadika, which means truthful record to his compilation of his collection sayings of the prophets. It is said that Abdullah used to say, "I have remembered 1000 matal from Prophet." He certainly meant narrations thereby and not merely proverbs. Maybe the reference is to the same compilation. Anyhow, the original of the Sahiha Sadika remained preserved in his family for a long time. His grandson Amr bin Shuaib used to hold it in his hand, read it out and dictate his lectures. To Ibn Hannibal we owe thanks for, as in case for Sahifa of Hammam, which shall be referred to later. He seemed to have incorporated the whole of his work of Abdullah ibn Amr, also in valuable voluminous Musnad. In this chapter, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah bin Imam ibn As and thus attenuated the loss of the original. Ibn Hannibal and others have referred to this compilation of Abdullah and they give other details. It is narrated by Abu Qabil. One day, we were with Abdullah ibn Amr. He was asked which town would be conquered first, Constantinople or Rome. Upon this, he sent for an old box and taking out a took from it, looked into it and said, "One day with the Holy Prophet One day we were sitting in the presence of the Holy Prophet and were writing down whatever he spoke. In the meantime, he was asked which town would be first conquered, Constantinople or Romania. The Holy Prophet replied, the town of son of Hercules will be conquered first, the Constantinople. These details show it was not simply Abdullah ibn Amr, but a whole group of the companions of the Prophet who used to write down the sayings of the Prophet and that in his very presence. This old box of the narration may have contained more books than one. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As was a man of great piety and ascetical temperament, although still a youth. He had embraced Islam even before his father. In his great passion for learning, he learned Syriac language. He used to regularly read Bible, being authorized to do so by the Prophet. Later, somehow, he got a camel's load of religious books of the Judeo-Christians, which he read and assimilated, and on the basis of his literature, compiled a whole volume which named Sahifa al-Mukhia, apparently in the memory of this place where the celebrated battle against Byzantines took place at the age of 72 years. He died in at the age of 72 years. അടുത്ത ആളത് നമ്മൾ വായിച്ചത് അബു അമറിൻ്റെതാണ്. Abu Rafi, the free slave of the Prophet. Abu Rafi, a Coptic convert, also begged permission of the Prophet for noting down the hadith and was allowed to do so. His life is picturesque, but there are no details obtainable about the companion of the sayings of the Prophet. അദ്ദേഹം എഴുതി വെച്ച ഹദീസുകളൊന്നും കിട്ടിയിട്ടില്ല. Comparison of Anas and its collection by the Prophet. By far the most important case is that case of Ansari Anas bin Malik. When the Holy Prophet migrated to Medina, Anas was a boy of 10. Nevertheless, he had learned how to read and write. His parents, out of intensity of the devotion, ordered him to serve as a page to the Holy Prophet. Anas stayed with him night and day and only left the house 10 years later. When the Holy Prophet died, Anas survived along until 91 age. It can be easily understood that Anas had ample opportunities of noting the actions of the Prophet and hearing his words, while no other person could have had the same facilities. Adarmi relates that Anas in later life always used to counsel his children. What my children, write out this learning hadith. Adarmi also reports an occasion on which narrator says, I saw Aban one day sitting with Anas and writing hadith. It is but natural that descendants of Anas as well as his disciples should have engaged themselves in writing hadith when they must have been witnessing Anas busy more than anyone else in comparing traditions. A whole group of hadith scholars have related on the authority of Sa'd ibn Hilal, other on that Hubayra ibn Abdul Rahman the following fact. When we used to press much, and in another version we used to be numerous, Qatarna Anas would take out notebooks, Majali or Sikha according to versions, and say, these are the traditions which I heard from the Holy Prophet and submitted for his perusal. It may be noted that Anas was not only in the habit of taking down in the writing whenever he saw or heard from the Holy Prophet, but even used to submit his notes to Prophet for scrutiny and necessary correction. There are only some instructions to show how during the time of the Holy Prophet himself the hadith was being compiled. After the death of the Prophet, the task of putting down in the writing of the hadith was multiplied by companions to an ever-increasing degree of variety of reasons. Certain facts relevant to this aspect of matters are noted under. Amr bin Azam was a celebrated governor of Yemen appointed by the Holy Prophet. We owe much to his intellectual acumen. His taste was maintained in his family for many generations. As we shall see later, one of his descendants was the governor of Medina. In the time of Caliph, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was charged by this Caliph to undertake the collection and codification of traditions of the Prophet extended in Medina. Like the other governors, Amr bin Hazm too received instruction from the Prophet regarding administrative policy to be followed, but his intellectual aptitude has benefited this science, for not only did he take care to preserve the valuable document, but also collected together 21 other official documents of the Prophet, which was addressed to Jews of the Banu Adiyya, Banu Uray, to Tamim, Madari, to tribes of Juhayna, Judam, Tai, Taqif, etc. Compiled them into a book form. This may be considered to be the first compendium of the documents of official letters of the Prophet's time. Being in administrative employ, he had not only easier access to these documents, but also the understanding to evaluate them duly. Being so an intellectually gifted person, he took care that his work did not perish with him. He transmitted his compilation to future generations. The version transmitted to this in 3rd century of Hijrah by the famous traditionist Daibul Tata in Pakistan named Abu Jafar al-Dabuli has been preserved and has come down to us. In fact, there are compilations of the name Iram Sign and scholar of which is preserved in the library of Arab Academy Al-Majma' Ilmi of Damascus. It also has been edited. This work embodies in form of appendix and precious obscure of Amr bin Hazm. A tradition in the Sahih of Muslim relates that Jabir bin Abdullah wrote a booklet on the Hajj. It is quite possible that the author had recorded the behavior and practices of the Holy Prophet during his final pilgrimage, as well as sermons has delivered on this occasion. Our sources mention that Jabir used to hold a study circle in the Prophet's mosque at Medina, where students were given instruction on hadith. One of his pupils was famous historian Wahab bin Munabbi, brother of Hammam, whose Sahifa is presented herewith, to whom Jabir had dictated hadith. According to Bukhari, another of the Prophet's celebrated traditions, Qatada used to say, I know the Sahifa of Jabir by heart, even better than the 2nd chapter of the Holy Quran. സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ജാബിർ ഇബ്ൻ അബ്ദുള്ളയെ പറ്റിയിട്ടാണ്. Another of his students, Sulaiman ibn Qasis al-Yashkuri, used to say that he also had written traditions related by Jabir. There are several others in addition who received instruction from Jabir and have referred to his Sahifa. The mother of faithful Aisha. Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, knew to read only but did not write. It is related that her nephew, sister, son, the celebrated historian Urwa ibn Zubair used to take down in writing the hadith narrated by, even as some other companions of the Prophet did. But these were destroyed during the Battle of Hara. He felt so miserable at his incident that in later life he used to say, would I have sacrificed my family and all my property in the place of these books? There were other students of Lady Aisha. One of them was a Lady Umrah, daughter of Abdul Rahman, whom she brought up from her childhood and trained and educated. It is not known whether Umrah herself wrote into anything, but the Caliph Umar ibn Abdulaziz directed his governor of Medina that to Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Amr bin Hazm, was a Lady Umrah's nephew, to take down in writing the sciences, the stock of hadith, that was with Umrah ibn Abdul Rahman, and also science of Qasim bin Muhammad. This Qasim ibn Muhammad was the nephew of Aisha, and being an orphan, has been adopted and brought up by her. He grew to a great servant. Ibn Uyas relates, Umar and Qasim ibn Muhammad were persons who knew the sciences of the Aisha better than anybody else. Aisha's learning needs to no recommendation in hadith and law, in poetry and genealogy, the history of Arabia and medicine. In fact, she was an expert and well versed in these various branches of science. Even the greatest of the companions of the Prophet acknowledged her skill and great acumen in legal matters and always consulted her. Khalifa Abu Bakr's qualification. It is related that Khalifa Abu Bakr also collected the hadith of the Prophet in book form, and that this collection consisted of 500 narrations. But as an afterthought, he destroyed it, lest some wrong word of expression should be attributed to the Prophet on account of compiler's defective remembrance. In his biographical dictionary, Abu Dhahab relates on the authority of Qasim ibn Muhammad that Aisha said, My father cultured traditions of the Prophet and they give it to 500 in number. But one night he got very restless, continually changing sides in bed, sometimes laying upon and sometimes upon another. She adds, this caused me great grief. I asked, are you doing so on account of any indisposition or for any report that has reached thee? Next morning he told me, daughter of mine, fetch me the book of hadith which is with there. I took it to him and he sent for fire and burned it. Why did you burn? He replied, I had found that should I die leaving this book behind, it should contain hadiths related by a person who, in my opinion, may have been trustworthy and meriting confidence. But in reality, the narration should not have been as he has related it, and I should have reproduced it only to prove later to be not correct, and God knows better. It is possible, even probable, that Abu Bakr compiled his work at the demand of his daughter Aisha, whose thirst for knowledge was never quenched. Qualification by Caliph Umar. Caliph Umar ibn Khattab intended to make official arrangements to collect hadiths of the Prophet. He consulted the companions, and all of them were of the opinion that the tradition should be codified. But later Umar himself changed his mind. The traditionist Muhammad ibn Rashid relates Al-Zuhri reports from the authority of Urwa that Umar intended to write down the hadith in the book form and consulted the companions of the Prophet in the matter. They gave they gave the opinion that he should write down the hadith. Umar then he went on doing istighara for a whole month. One morning he rose by the time God had caused him to make up his mind. So he declared, I was intending to put in writing the hadith, but then thought came to me of the people who lived before you and who wrote books and grew to be so deeply engrossed in them that they abandoned and neglected even the book of the God. By God, I am on my part shall never mix up anything with the book of God. Roles of Khalifa Ali. There are numerous reports that Ali also possessed certain written documents which he rolled up and kept always with him attached to his sword. A few citations would enlighten us on the contents of the collection. Al-Bukhari reports that Abu Juhayfa related, I asked Ali bin Talib, is there any book with thee? He replied, no, except the book of the Quran or such understanding as may have by Muslim and whatever is in Sahifa. Abu Jarafa said, I asked, what then is in the Sahifa? He answered, the rules about the blood money, the bleeding of prisoners, and that no Muslim should be executed for the sake of any unbeliever. There is greater precision in another report by Bukhari, who reports, Ali delivered a sermon to us and said, there is no book with us which we may recite but the book of God, or whatever is in the Sahifa, and added, in this are rules of damages for tortured person, and wages of camels, purpose of government tax. It contains further that Medina is a sanctuary from the hill of air until such and such a place. So whoever could commit murder there or give quarter to murderer or him who will be the curse of God, of angels and of men, no monetary payment or compensation will be expected from him. Should a contracted brother enter into a fraternal relationship with another person without permission of his first contracted brother, he too shall subject to the same curse. ഇത്ര വർഷം ഞാൻ നിർത്തണം. നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ നബിയുടെ മരണത്തിന് ശേഷം ഇവർ ഹദീസുകൾ കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ടായിരുന്നു എന്നൊക്കെയുള്ളതാണ് പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ വെച്ച് നിർത്തണം. അസ്സലാമു അലൈക്കും.